Hello guys and welcome again. This is Alex with Reddy Drone today here. I'm super excited because after he was testing the FPV drone, and you already saw this video,
We're flying now, guys, in full acro mode with no limitations whatsoever.
Sin ningún tipo de restricción.
he brought his own kit developed by him. He has a lot to tell us, and I really want his impression to compare something like very regular in the FPV world with this new released DJI FPV kit. So this is gonna be like an exchange of questions and answers, and I'm really excited to see what he says. Vale, Eric, ¿qué es lo que nos has traído hoy?
Vale, aquí lo que tengo es como...
Right in front of me I have the basic pack of what we use in the FPV world. This would be the FPV drone with the battery on top, being held by a strap, a transmitter or controller to control this drone, and in this case, and finally, our FPV goggles, in this case analog goggles.
Pues son gafas analógicas.
¿Me puedes explicar brevemente en qué consiste esto y por qué lo has hecho? O sea, ¿qué es lo que has hecho tú aquí?
Básicamente este es el Reddy.
Basically, this is the Reddy Drone. That's the drone we've created in the Drones. We've designed the frame made out of carbon fiber, because in the FPV world most of the frames are made out of carbon fiber. We also made the TPU protections plus the fasteners for the antennas and all that, and we've also designed and chosen the electronics like the camera, ESCs, controller boards, VTX, which is the video transmitter, the antenna, plus the bats are also ours.
Y las baterías también son nuestras.
This would be basically our drone that you can find on our website, and we made this basically for beginners. If they have doubts or are unsure, they can buy a drone that is created by us, so they don't need to go crazy purchasing different things and knowing if they'll manage to make it fly.
Los problemas que te da el mundo del FPV al principio cuando estás empezando.
O sea, ¿tiene valor que DJI te saque algo ya terminado?
Que DJI se meta en el mundo del...
DJI entering the FPV market this way tells me first that there is actually a market, meaning that the FPV world may be growing and people are getting interested, and of course that's good for me because that means that more people are getting into my world. And second, I do believe that's a super good idea to create a finished drone and combo for beginners to get in touch with FPV, as the biggest problem we have in the FPV world is of course the learning curve. When you purchase an FPV drone, a transmitter and goggles, flying it right away is super complicated. You need many flying hours, using a sim, etc. And what DJI has tried to do with all their knowledge, experience and money is to create something to be flown by anyone right out of the box. A beginner wouldn't be able to fly this regular FPV drone at all. However, DJI has managed to achieve that. They have a great infrastructure, they have gained the know-how, and they know exactly what they're doing. So I really do believe that what DJI has done or has tried doing has a great value.
Intentado hacer.
¿Tú crees, Eric, que un sistema como este puede llegar a influir o chafar un poco tu idea de negocio de vender drones FPV más o menos hechos?
Yo creo que al contrario.
On the contrary, when you get into the FPV world, it's kind of complicated. People coming from the DJI world and purchasing a regular FPV drone usually have a really bad user experience in the beginning. I believe DJI is helping those people and creating like a very smooth and easy entrance into this FPV world. The good part of this story is of course that there will be way more people entering the FPV world, people that would never ever purchase an FPV drone because they are people that are not used to this type of flying and are not really willing to get through that learning curve whatsoever. But what I believe may be even better is that people that try this drone being a bit capped and with flight assistance may get in the mood of wanting to learn and test more, and then making the jump onto the real FPV world, and they might want to purchase, for example, this Reddy Drone, which is a fully uncapped FPV drone. This is what I believe that us, the real FPV pilots, or my company, the Drones, this FPV drone released by DJI is not a threat at all. On the contrary, DJI is opening a door to us, and I do believe it can be super good for the business.
A un público nuevo, a un público fresco, y creo que nos puede venir pues muy bien para el hobby.
La tecnología que ha sacado DJI en este sistema, de alguna forma puede llegar a dejar obsoleto lo que estáis usando vosotros.
Sí que es verdad que...
Well, it's true that DJI has really gone all in with this drone, and it has some super amazing features such as the possibility of recording from the controller, digital video transmission that makes you feel like if you're flying inside the drone, and it has some super good things that we can also do. I can adjust many things with these levers. I can start the drone, change the flight mode, for example with also assisted flight, and with the stick always being down, that by the way you can also adjust on the DJI controller. If we would add GPS gas, barometers, and a bunch of things, we could also make that this FPV drone could hover automatically, being very similar to a DJI drone. You can more or less do the same things on both systems, but DJI has the digital version and we do it completely analog. Although it's true that DJI offers us the possibility to create a full FPV drone, but using their digital system, with their goggles, their air unit being a camera plus antenna so that you get a nice signal. This is why I do believe that they can perfectly coexist and they are indeed for different types of users.
Así que creo que pueden convivir perfectamente y creo que son para públicos pues totalmente distintos.
¿Es tan caro meterse en FPV como cuesta este dron o puede ser más barato?
DJI con el precio que nos está...
The price that DJI set for this drone shows us clearly what type of brand DJI is. They have always been a premium brand. If you purchase a Mavic, well, now they are creating this more budget-friendly lines like the Mini, but the Mavic Pro or a Phantom, it was always around $1,500 more or less.
Más 1.000 euros, casi 2.000 euros, no sé, bastante dinero entonces.
In the FPV world, you can start very basic with some basic drone, battery, transmitter and goggles plus a charger for around $200. Or maybe up to 300, you can also have a complete combo. But you're getting started with a very basic material and cheap quality, meaning at some point you'll have to upgrade for sure.
Básico y muy barato, ¿vale? Que puedes empezarte, pero seguramente en algún momento tendrás que hacer algún upgrade.
DJI has started off with the best of the best, but in our world, if we do get a good drone, a good transmitter, good goggles plus a decent GoPro, I mean, this drones, even though you can see here a camera, this doesn't film in HD. It's a very basic analog video in bad quality that we get in our goggles to have almost zero latency. So we have to add a GoPro.
Una calidad muy baja que nos la manda aquí para tener...
So we have to add a GoPro if you want to have our flight recorded in HD or 4K. So a good drone, good goggles, good transmitter and good GoPro 7 or 8 at least, we're getting close more or less to DJI's price. This means that DJI's price may not be as expensive as it looks. I mean, they sell it as a bundle and we have to purchase things separately. The price from a top drone to another top drone is very similar.
Si vamos de top a top, es lo mismo.
En este tipo de drones, ¿cuánto suelen durar y si hay alguna diferencia o no?
En nuestros drones de carreras normalmente...
We use normally 4S batteries for our racing quads of about 1500 milliamps, and we do have a flight time of up to 4 or 5 minutes depending on how you fly. You can go full throttle and the battery will last 2 minutes, or you can do a very easy flight lasting up to 4 or 5 minutes. The difference is that our batteries are kind of small in order to have less weight, giving us more maneuverability.
En cambio,
however, the DJI FPV drone battery is literally double the size of my battery, so it makes sense that DJI drone is capable of flying for much longer. However, of course, we're going to feel when we're flying that DJI drone weighs more. It's going to be a bit more clumsy and less agile.
Es que este dron va a pesar más, va a ser un poco más torpe y va a ser menos ágil.
Y respecto a la latencia, ¿es mejor o es peor que en un FPV?
Nuestro sistema es analógico.
We use the analog system. This means that the speed of video transmission is much faster and of around 2 or 3 milliseconds. When I tested the DJI drone, I did feel that there was a bit more of latency. For example, in a roll movement, it takes just a tiny bit more. A normal person wouldn't really notice, but us coming from the FPV world would notice that tiny difference. And that scares you a little bit because you don't feel like you're doing movements in a real time.
No estás haciendo los movimientos en tiempo real. Y de esto, pero se nota muy poco.
If you're just doing a regular, easy and slow flight, there won't be any problem.
A 180 no va a pasar nada, con lo que en ese caso bien.
And also related to this topic about latency, why does DJI have more latency than us? As I told you before, the image that we get in our goggles is a super bad quality image, as if it was an old TV signal. I mean, that's the real analog signal, and of course that signal gets transmitted super fast.
La señal analógica, no es ni digital. Y claro, esa señal se transfiere muy rápido. Aquí, sin embargo...
In the case of the DJI drone, you are getting a super high quality HD image with all kinds of details, and that's why the image takes a bit longer to get inside the goggles. So of course, when talking about image quality, there is no discussion.
Retransmitirse, así que en este caso gana la calidad.
The DJI signal is way better than our regular image, but you're kind of paying like that toll, having a bit more of latency.
de un poquito más de latencia. Cuando uno se acostumbra...
Now the thing is, when one gets used to that signal, in my case I've been flying for 4 or 5 years now, when you get used to that kind of signal, I don't really care anymore. For me it's reasonably good quality, but I do understand that for a newcomer to this world, you let them test both, and of course he's going to die when he sees the analog signal. I remember my first time, I was shocked when I saw that terrible quality. The image was just super bad. For a beginner, this digital system is ideal in HD, but for me, and I think I speak for most people in the FPV world, I stay with my analog signal for now.
Creo que nos quedamos con el analógico.
It's not anymore about what you see, but about what you feel.
En ese momento.
Interesting because, as I mentioned before, this is a professional FPV pilot and his opinion is very valuable in this kind of content. Thank you very much for being here. It was an amazing morning with you and your friend Christian. Also Chivo on the camera, please leave the thumb for all of us doing this for you guys. And that was it, nothing really else to say guys. There's a lot of content coming about the FPV drone and always remember to keep calm and talk UAV.